Welcome, everyone, to the AtariCade 200 Super Community Podcast. We're doing an AtariCade 5200 episode today. We're going to talk about Robotron 2084. And unfortunately, we don't have Michael or Rick. We just have Matt and Willie. So,
hey, everyone.
Yeah. Yay.
Yay, two of us. Just the two of us.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll start off talking about the arcade game. I'll let you start off the talk, Matt.
Alrighty. Well, Robotron 2084 was a twin-stick shooter arcade game from Williams Electronics. It was released in 1982, designed by Eugene Jarvis and Larry Del Mar. And it's pretty well known for its high speed and action-packed, jam-packed playfield. Like this game comes at you fast and it doesn't let up. So the basic premise is that the world's been overrun by robots that mankind created. That's not an unusual sci-fi theme that we create robots to serve us and they just end up turning on us and taking over. The object is to destroy all the robots and try to save the last human family. So there's basic playfield is just it's almost an empty space. It's just a single screen game, and the only obstacles or walls really are on the border of the screen. There's no wrapping around or anything, and no tunnels or a maze. You have to shoot all the robots and try to rescue the humans to get points. If you clear all the robots out of the screen, you go to the next board. Pretty simple. There's a few different types of robots that you got to go up against. There's the mindless grunts. These guys just walk around, and they don't shoot or anything, but if they touch you or a human, they'll kill the human or kill you. And those are worth 100 points each. There's the indestructible hulks. Those cannot be destroyed no matter what you do. They're kind of slow, and if you fire a gun at them, they'll slow down even more, but you can't destroy them. Next up, we got the giant brains. Those you'll see every fifth wave. Those are worth 500 points apiece. Those are a little different because they try to basically take over the humans. They shoot this little wave at the humans, and if it hits the human, then the human becomes this mindless thing that comes after you.
Zombie!
Yeah, zombies, basically. They also fire these little cruise missiles that bounce around after you, so they're kind of nasty. Yeah, they're only worth about 25 points each. Next up, we got the sinister spheroids and the deadly spawn. These things are like these red pulsating things that kind of hang around the edge of the screen. They're kind of annoying because they spit out these little enforcers.
Yep. And
those are worth 150, but they multiply quickly, so the screen will quickly get crowded with them. And both the spheroids and the enforcer spawn kind of move pretty quick, so they can be kind of a pain. But they're worth 1,000 points. There's also these electrodes. Those don't really move or shoot at you or anything, but they just block your path, and they're not worth any points. So basically just shoot them, get them out of the way. And finally, we got the cubic quarks and their torturing tanks. These are kind of like the spheroids, except they don't stick to the edge of the screen. They're just blue pulsars that float around everywhere. They shoot out these tanks, and the tanks shoot out bounce bombs. So it's a whole lot of crap coming at you all at once.
Oh, yeah.
Those things are worth 1,000 points each, and they're little the tanks they shoot out are worth 2 points. So those are all the bad guys. The humans you're trying to save, it's just there's a man and a woman and a child. And
Mikey.
They're explaining that it's like clones. Yeah, right, Mikey. And there's just those three. But if you pick them up, if you get 1,000 points the first one you pick up, 2,000 for the second, 3,000 for the third, 4,000 for the fourth, and then finally 5,000 for the fifth, and every other one you pick up after that. So that's where your big points are. And on every fifth wave, like I said about the brains, like that's the fifth wave, so it's mostly brains. I might have a few other enemies on the screen, but there's a ton more humans on those boards. So the fifth board is really where you're going to pick up all your big points. You can get thousands of points on those boards if you're careful. But that's basically the premise to it. There isn't a whole lot to it, but it's super fun. It's simple. You know how to play it within just a minute or so of picking it up. And that twin-stick control scheme, I don't think Robotron was the first game to do that, but it might have been the one that, I think it's fair to credit it with popularizing that control scheme.
Oh, yeah.
And it really makes the game unique and fun. And I wish more games kind of did that. I think that I read something that said, the designers they were kind of inspired by Berserk, and they liked that the guy could shoot in any direction, but they didn't like that he had to stand still while doing it. So that's where they decided to do the twin stick.
Oh, man.
Controls.
Someone needs to make a hack of Berserk and make it a twin stick.
That would be great. Yes. That would be great.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah. I would play that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And where did you first see the arcade game?
I'm sure I saw it the arcade we went to the most. It was in Aladdin's Castle in our local shopping mall, and I'm sure I saw it there. And if not there, the pizza place down the street from us. They actually had one or two games, and I think I played it there as well.
Yeah.
But I spent the most time playing the home versions of it.
Yeah.
But how about you, Willie? Did you grow up playing this?
Oh, yeah. I remember when it came to my local arcade. I was at my arcade when it came in. It was unloaded on a Saturday morning, and I helped set it up and everything. And I was the first one to get to play it. It was freaking incredible.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. You got to be one of the first to play it, probably. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. It's a very addicting game. I still like it to this day. Anytime I see it when I'm out and about, I'll drop a quarter or a token or whatever and play another game of it. I'm not very good at it, but it's a lot of fun. We had one at the Classic Gaming Expo in 2014, and I played it quite a bit there. Still didn't do very good.
It seems like you definitely see them at the retrocades and barcades that are popping up. It seems to be something that still turns up, at least more often than not, in those places.
What home version did you play back then?
Well, I got an Atari 7800 the year it was
you
re-released.
Lucky dog.
Yeah, I got one. I think it was 86 when it was re-released. I know they put it out like in small quantities in 84, but I got the 86 one. And I think it was 86 anyways. And my mom got me that and Robotron and I think a couple other games. And boy, I played the crap out of it. I know I got Joust as well, but Robotron I just loved. I thought it was just amazing because it was so close to the arcade version of it,
Now, did you have the little stick holder for the 7800 or?
They don't think Atari put one out for the 7800 version, which is kind of weird.
That is kind of weird.
It does support it, and I've, as an adult, I went ahead and made, something out of wood, a scrap wood in the crotch that will snugly fit two CX26 joysticks, and or CX40s, and that works great. But as a kid, I didn't have anything like that. You know how the 7800 Pro lines are kind of wonky anyway. There was really no way for me to set those up that I could think of to where they would hold steady. So I would usually just play with one, because that version lets you just hold down the fire button. He'll just fire in whatever direction he's moving in. Which isn't as good, but I got used to.
No, it's not as good to play it that way. I first played the home version on my Atari computer. I got a hold of the Robotron pack that had the little CX40 joystick holder that you put two joysticks into and set on the tabletop and then play just like the arcade game.
Nice.
Yeah, I never did have a 5200 back then. The main reason why I didn't get a 5200 is because I was playing the games on my Atari computer. And my dad goes, "You're playing the same game in the computer. You don't need a 5200. I was like, man, come on.
Yeah. Is that one just like the 5200 other than the control?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I kind of figured it would be.
Yeah, it's identical. Pretty much identical. So, let's talk about the 5200 version. Like I said, it's very similar to the Atari computer games. So that's where I had the most experience with it. And I cannot get very high in this game for some reason. I get to the level 7 where the tanks start coming out, and that's it. That's all she wrote. I just die very quickly.
Yeah.
Even on level 0.
Yeah. It gets fast pretty quick, I have to say. Kind of takes some getting used to.
Oh, yeah.
I think if I had played it as much as I did when I was a kid growing up, I don't know if I would have been able to pick back up on it or not.
No. Well, one of the things I like about the Atari 5200 version is It does, at least it does support the dual stick, and you can get that little holder that came with Space Dungeon to play the game, which makes it pretty nice to play using the two sticks with that holder instead of trying to hold the two joysticks by themselves, which is near impossible.
Right. Yeah, I think without that coupler, it's really probably not worth getting. You can't. I tried playing by just firing with the fire button, and I don't think the game even supports that. So you really have to use two controllers.
The coupler I have was made by a viewer of the show. He made it out of the glow material when he 3D printed it, so it glows in the dark. So I flip on my black light, put on some 80s music, and I go to town.
Nice. I saw that you posted that picture. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know if there's a 3D print model out there in Thingiverse or something?
Yes.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Yes, there
Wonderful.
is. There's one on Thingiverse.
Yeah,
so you either buy one or print your own.
Very good. Yeah, I got one. I was fortunate enough to find a complete Space Dungeon on eBay, and that's where I got my holder. Well, it does say in the manual you can use one controller. I guess I was pushing the top fire button, or so it says you have to use the bottom red fire button. So you could use one controller if you wanted to, but I think it's way better with two.
Yeah, it's. I tried playing it with one controller, and it's just no. It doesn't work too well. It doesn't work well at all. I love the box art.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, it's awesome. Now I like the picture of the little brain, the brain guy back there. He looks kind of like lackadaisical.
It's like, his eyes are half shut.
Those freaking humans again.
Yeah, it's got the kid Mikey and
Mikey,
the woman there. Yeah.
Yep. Being a full color manual, I always liked when Atari would put full color manuals.
Yeah, that was something that was a bummer. Was when they released the 7800. It was after Jack Tramiel bought the company, and he did all kinds of cost-cutting things. And you can really tell a huge difference between the stuff Atari put out before he took over versus the stuff that after. I mean, everything was black and white, including cartridge labels. There's no gates on the cartridge anymore to protect the printed circuit board. It's just everything's just different. It's a shame, but I mean, he kept the company going. I'll give him that, but there was definitely a little less polish on things for sure.
Yeah, that's true. So, what do you think of the home port for the 5200?
I'm pretty impressed with it. I was thinking. There's an awful lot of moving objects in Robotron, a lot of sprites on the screen at once, and it doesn't really have any flicker. I see some of the sprites will drop out pixels every now and then, but it doesn't flicker really at all, and that's very impressive for a machine that was it's basically based on the home computer, and I was I think that was 79. I mean, that's really something.
Yeah.
And I don't know if another home console at the time, when this came out in 83, maybe the ColecoVision would have been able to do okay with it. Probably would have been a lot more flickery. I don't know.
It would have been a flicker fest, especially when they would all line up together. It would make you have seizures or something.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, they didn't even try because Atari didn't put out an Atari soft version for the ColecoVision for some reason. But they did put out some home computers. But if you didn't have a 5200 back then, you weren't playing it on a home console. It was the only one that really got it.
Well, 5200, 7800, and the computer.
Well, 7800, yeah, but that didn't come out till
86.
So, yeah, you would have had a long wait.
Very long wait.
But yeah, they did put it out on home computers. But this is a nice version of it. I think if you'd have been a happy gamer playing this back in the day. I'm sure you were playing it on your computer.
Oh, I played the living daylights out on my computer. I still have my original cartridge here. I no longer have the joystick coupler, but I still have the original cartridge.
Oh, cool.
And the sound effects are really well done. Considering what it's on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love the sound of the arcade game. I absolutely love it, and it translated fairly well to the 5200.
Yes, it did. I agree. It's a dead ringer for the arcade, really. I mean, it's a little chunkier, a little blockier, but the play is there, and there's just tons of moving stuff going on. They didn't really have to cut back on a whole lot.
Well, I just think of all the characters had a little bit too many digital donuts. They gained a little weight when they got ported to the 5200.
It happens.
But it's a great game. You know, I played it quite a bit this afternoon because I was determined to beat your high score, which, say what your high score was.
Well, the first one I put up, I beat it later on today. So
jeez.
I ended up with 619,750.
What the heck? Some kind of savant
well,
or something?
I can roll the 7,800 one, so it could have been worse.
What?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I told you I made that homemade coupler for the 7,800 one, and once I did that makes it so much easier. And I got just a Jag where I played it a whole bunch, and I rolled it one day, and I was like, then I kind of stopped playing after that.
So what's some of your strategies that you're using to get such a score?
Well, like I said, the main one is those brainwaves. You want to take full advantage of that. I noticed the game, when a wave starts, it'll actually just display the humans for a second. It'll put all the humans up with nothing else. So that's kind of helpful because once the screen gets filled up with you and the enemies, bullets flying everywhere, it can be easy to lose track of stuff. So I use that opening little bit to kind of pinpoint where I need to head first. And then I'll go after all those. On the brainwaves, I go after the humans like just no other. Because if you can get enough of them, you can make enough extra lives to offset any you lose from charging willy-nilly in there.
Oh.
So that's a good strategy, I think. For the other boards, I go after those spheroids first. I'll basically make a beeline for the edge of the screen.
Yeah. And
then I'll just kind of walk around the border, try to take those out first, and then work my way inward. That seems to work pretty well most of the time. And other than that, practice makes perfect. But
or being a savant.
The humans are your keyed up to big points. You really got to get those because the game's pretty generous with extra lives.
Yeah, I did notice that.
If I don't remember how. Let's see if it's in here, but you get them. If you pick up 4 or 5, 6 humans in a row, you're probably gonna get extra life out of it. And it's not that hard to do every 5th wave. Yeah, you get 20,000 points to get another life. So if you manage to pick up a few, you're getting 5,000 per. You can get 2 or 3 extra lives pretty quick.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even break 200K. That's why I didn't even post the video. I was like, the heck with it. And what I was trying to do is I would shoot all the enemies and I would just leave just one. And I would try to run around and collect all the humans before I destroy the last enemy.
Yeah, that's a good strategy too, yeah.
And I would usually get fairly high scoring doing that. But when I get to the level that has the tanks, I had a heck of a time getting by the tanks.
Yeah, they're a nightmare. I usually lose most of my lives on those boards. Because it sort of repeats every 5. I can kind of see the same thing over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
And that was always the one where I lost most of my lives.
But overall, it's a really great port. It's a great game to add to the collection. If you're an Atari 5200 fanatic, it's definitely one you want to add.
Yeah, I agree. It's all their arcade ports are so good.
Oh yeah.
I just blown away by that. It's not the most popular system, obviously, but
no.
Quality over quantity. I would say that the library may be small, but it's got a lot of really quality ports on it.
What's unfortunate is, a lot of people are turned off because they hear all these negative reviews about the controller and stuff like that. But when you actually sit down and play with one that's working, it's phenomenal. And, of course, when Ed Ladden gets done making his new controllers for the 5200...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. It'll
Sign
be awesome.
Me up.
Oh, yeah.
I'll absolutely get one of those. I've held off on getting his others just because, I don't know, I just don't seem to get around to setting aside the money for it. I mean, I'm sure they're worth it. They look like they're very well-made products.
Yeah, I've got the one here for the ColecoVision, and it's phenomenal.
They seem really solid. Yeah, I won't be able to resist the 5200. That needs a good arcade quality joystick. That would absolutely be.
Oh yeah, especially having a dual stick on there for Robotron, have a trackball, have a spinner.
Oh,
for
goodness.
Tempest. I've got that problem solved on my trackball. I put a spinner on my trackball so I can play the Tempest game on the 5200. Works like a charm.
Oh, I bet that's fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah,
it is.
I usually play it with a trackball. I haven't converted one because I just have the one trackball, and I don't want to. I don't want to if I want to mess it up, but because I'm not that great with electronics, so sometimes I don't. Sometimes my soldering doesn't work out the way I want.
I was the same way with mine. I was waffling back and forth. It's like, do I want to drill a hole in my trackball to put this spinner? So I was talking to Dan Kramer, who made the trackball. He's like, "Oh, just go for it." Oh, okay.
That's all. Give it a go ahead you need. If Dan says it's all right.
So I got a little switch on there, so I can switch between trackball mode and spinner mode, and I found out a incremental encoder with 256 pulses per revolution works really well for the Tempest game. And luckily, what's funny is I had a spare encoder here that's off the forklift that I service for the company I work for, and I was like, oh, this encoder has 256 pulses per revolution. Let's see if it works. And I'll be darned if it did. I was like, cool. So I got a piece of my truck and my trackball.
It's you see, sometimes work does come in handy for stuff.
Oh yeah. So yeah, playing that homebrew version of Tempest with a spinner is a totally different experience.
That seems like that would be great. I wonder if that would work well with the with Super Breakout or
yes. Any game that supports the trackball for left and right movement only, that spinner will work. Galaxian, Super Breakout.
Oh, yeah.
I think the video I did of my spinner, I tried some of the other games out, showing them working. It works fantastic for Super Breakout.
Oh, that's great. I really like that game with the trackball. I might have to break down and try that mod.
Yeah, it's actually a fairly easy mod, because all you're really doing is you're getting into one of the gates for the little encoder wheel in there. Mm-hmm. You just take power away from the little photo cells in there, the little photodiodes, and you transfer it over to the encoder and put its output back onto the board, and off you go.
Mm.
It took me about 20 minutes to modify mine.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
It's pretty fast. I should have did a video. I just took a few little pictures and stuff. I was just playing around to see if it would work. I got it all working, put it back together, and I got too lazy to take it back apart.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you. Once you get it working, you don't want to mess with it.
No, I want to mess with it.
Right.
But I want to do another one. David from the 5200 podcast, he's going to send his trackball down to me, and I'm going to do another mod using his, and I'll actually make a video doing it that time. But I'm trying to find a lower priced encoder to put in it, because the one I use for my truck is not very cheap. It's like $70.
Mm.
Yeah. And I got a encoder assembly from Glenn, from the 5200 podcast as well, and I was going to try to adapt his spinner to work with the 5200. And I was looking at it today when I got it in the mail, and it's a little bit different. I don't think it'll work directly, because it looks like it's missing a piece that's probably on the Arcade 1-Up machine. The little photoelectric gate and stuff like that is not on there. It's just a gear hovering above a circuit board, and I can't see any kind of detection circuit or anything like that down there, so don't think it's going to work, which is unfortunate, because that would have been cool.
Yeah. Huh.
I'll get it figured out. Boy, I went off on a tangent on Tempest, didn't I?
Well, you start talking 5200 controllers, you're going to bring up the trackball. It can't be helped.
It can't be helped.
Anyway. That's the best controller it's got.
Anyway, we're talking about Robotron.
That's right.
So anyway, like I said before, it's a really great game on the 5200. If you don't have it in your collection, it's definitely one you want to add. I give it a really high rating. From 1 to 10, I'd give it about a 9. What kind of rating would you give it?
I think I'd be right there with you. That's a solid 9.
Solid 9.
A great board, and make sure you get the coupler or make your own or whatever. But it's that makes it a great game. Don't let the analog sticks throw you off. It's really not a problem in this game.
The analog sticks, they don't really affect the gameplay at all. I mean, it works really well.
Yeah, don't let this scare you off.
Oh no, it's an awesome game. Yeah. So anyway, until next time, everyone. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.